I'm running out of ways to title these damn videos, man. This is kind of disturbing, but it's not surprising. Because when you look at these, I'm just going to call them facts. Is that the right way to say it? Yeah, I think these are facts, right? Based off of our understanding of these players and their situations, these essentially are the facts. When you look at these facts and you align them all together, it does get a little bit freaky when you consider the Vancouver Canucks and how they handle injuries within their hockey team. This is a conversation that was talked about on the R Canucks subreddit, posted and discussed by Bar Blar Blar, with a W at the end. The post will be linked in the description. You could go out there and read it yourself. But the title is this: a Swedish player's lower body injury hampers his off-season training. And Patrik Allvin links it to his mindset and willingness to sacrifice, but still gives a vote of confidence at the year-end presser. Sound familiar? Yeah, it does. This is something that happened literally just a few weeks ago, right? But it turns out our buddy Bar Blar Blar is talking about Oliver Ekman-Larsson, actually. OEL sustained a broken foot at the World Championships in 2022, which wrecked his off-season training. He proceeded to have an atrocious season in 22-23, where he was widely panned as having the worst contract in the NHL. This is what OEL had to say about that season at the year-end presser. I started the season behind the 8 ball and I never caught up. I couldn't really skate last summer. I think that played into the way I was feeling early in the season. It was not ideal to come in for camp. Huh. Okay. Yeah, now that you mention it, that did happen 3 years ago, wherein Oliver Ekman-Larsson, who was acquired by Vancouver in the trade with the Arizona Coyotes just a year beforehand, ended up having an absolutely awful season with the Vancouver Canucks. Point production-wise, it was actually not terrible. 22 points in 54 games played. Actually, maybe a little bit better than what he had accomplished last season. But Oliver Ekman-Larsson was so bad in this 22-23 campaign, and he was making so much money that he ended up getting bought out. And he ended up winning a championship with the Florida Panthers the very next year. He actually looked great in that next season with the Cats, and now he's doing some pretty good things for the Maple Leafs too. I think it's fair to say that for Oliver Ekman-Larsson, right now, he's a pretty good defenseman. It's just, with the dollar amount and with the performance in Vancouver, you would probably be laughed at if you said similar things back then. Don't get me wrong, OEL was not the worst D-man to shoot up for Vancouver, but for making 8-point-something million, there definitely was something that had to give there. Let's go back over onto the Reddit post. This is what Patrik Allvin said about Oliver Ekman-Larsson after that season. I thought he was very inconsistent. I do believe that with the right mindset and the conversations we've had over the last couple of months, that OEL is willing to sacrifice to get his game back. I think Oliver has potential to still be a good NHL player. With the addition of Filip Hronek and then the game that Quinn Hughes is playing in right now, we need Oliver to support these younger players here, and having Adam Foote and Sergei Gonchar here working with Oliver and how we changed our defensive structure, I think it's his mindset and his willingness to show us that he's willing to get back to where he belongs, in the top pairings here. I'm excited to see him coming into training camp. Yeah, Patrik Allvin, I get that part of your job is lying, but there's no way in hell he absolutely thought that Oliver Ekman-Larsson would play his way up to being a top pair guy in Vancouver. But Patrik Allvin expressed confidence, right? He talked about how OEL wasn't great, and then he said he thought the guy could be better. OEL was, of course, bought out shortly after that press conference. I'm not drawing any conclusions here, this Reddit poster said. I'm sure there was a ton of nuance that wasn't captured in these brief interviews. I just thought it would be fun to note the parallels with Pettersson's situation and get a, hopefully civil and open-minded, discussion going. This is where we dive into the top comment, and this is why I'm making this video in the first place. Tiger23 Sun went out there and said this. So what you're telling me is, Jason Dickinson, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, Ilya Mikheyev, and Tanner Pearson all had injuries that the Canucks mishandled. All but Pearson had injuries that they had to play through. They all looked worse while with the Canucks. And then they got healthy with proper care from another team, and they played way better. Kind of like Elias Pettersson? The Canucks mishandled his injury. They allowed him, or maybe even forced him, to play through his injury, and he performed way worse. It's almost like a pattern of behavior, right? And on top of that, they lied through the whole season about his knee. This team. And another comment says, not to mention Demko and the pointless game they played him in last season. This is disturbing for the Vancouver Canucks because with all of these situations repeating themselves year in and year out, I didn't even realize the magnitude as to how bad Vancouver's treatment of injuries are until it's laid out here on a Reddit post that's like, yeah, Dickinson, Mikheyev, OEL, Pearson. These guys all had injuries with the Vancouver Canucks, some of which we didn't know they had until after the season was over. And when they go to another team, they're able to fully recover, and then they all start to play well. Jason Dickinson was somewhat of a machine for the Chicago Blackhawks, so was Ilya Mikheyev. That guy had 20 goals this year. Nobody would have ever expected him to do that in Vancouver. And he's a north-south guy. He's supposed to be a player who's able to play Rick Tocchet-styled hockey. Tanner Pearson is looking really good with the Vegas Golden Knights. OEL won a cup. This team mishandles the way their players play through and treat injuries. And when you think about some of the other situations here, with Pettersson's being the most dire, you just start to be thankful that Quinn Hughes didn't end up getting forced to play in the Four Nations face-off tournament, for example, and shortly after, they did play him at some point to try and make the playoffs towards the end of the year, and that was really dire as well, because you could tell that Quinn Hughes, while he did give a big burst of energy and offensive contribution and activation in the kind of period where the Canucks were still trying to beat St. Louis in the playoff race, once they ended up getting fully eliminated and once they were kind of just fully out of it, that's when Quinn started to slow down a little bit. I don't want to say he was taking his foot off the gas pedal, but it was like he doesn't need to go 120% and potentially hurt himself even more because it was all for naught. And once the Canucks were out, it was like, okay, Quinn Hughes is not as good anymore, but it's okay. Like, he's probably hurt. He's probably playing through something. You just gotta hope that the Vancouver Canucks don't put this guy in a vulnerable spot to maybe hurt himself even further. Like you could say they debatably did with all these other guys. And for Elias Pettersson in particular, I mean, he said that he wasn't able to train properly because of his knee, and it's why he didn't play in the World Championships this year. Same argument could be applied to the Four Nations. Like, everybody's saying, why would he be playing at the Four Nations if he's hurt? If he's playing and the coaching staff knows that he's available and they're using him, then it means he's not hurt, right? Like, that idea was fully blasted on Canucks beat reporting and social media, but hearing now towards the end of the season, yeah, no, he had an injury that just kind of depleted his off-season training approach, and it changed everything in a negative way. To hear that that's what allowed him to get behind the eight ball, similar to what happened with Oliver Ekman-Larsson all those years ago, you just gotta hope that Elias Pettersson finds himself back in the hunt, in the race, in the fight with that eight ball one more time, and becomes a number one center, like he was at one point in his career. Maybe Andrei Kuzmenko can help him out. Guess what? It was posted about on Instagram the other day. Kuzmenko is in Bali again. How funny is that? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about this disturbing alignment of Vancouver Canucks-related injury stories between Dickinson, Pearson, OEL, Mikheyev, and debatably Elias Pettersson as well. Do you think this is cause for concern? Do you think it's the Vancouver Canucks just not doing what they need to be doing properly again? Or is this not really that big of an issue and we're just grasping at straws trying to make YouTube videos here? I don't know. Both things can be true at the same time, realistically. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.